And breaking tonight, just hours ago, a last-ditch effort to protect the retirement benefits of our nation's vets and our wounded warriors went down to defeat in the U.S. Senate. Every single Democrat except one voted against it. If it becomes law, men and women who served this country, including our most severely injured wounded warriors, will be forced to sacrifice yet again. New Hampshire Republican Senator Kelly Ayotte blasted this idea today.
Think about it. Someone has been injured in Afghanistan, one of our men and women in uniform. We've all been to Walter Reed. They've received a disability retirement, and what happens? Here's our thanks to you. We're going to cut your cost of living increase. I know that within the trillions we're going to spend over the next decade, that we can find $6 billion rather than taking it out the backs of our men and women in uniform.
And for these medically retired military members, it hits them even more because this cost of living allowance hits them every year that they're in retirement. So these guys and gals would retire early. Let's say they're wounded in combat, they're retired earlier. So it's even more egregious in the way it hits military retirees who are medically disabled.
This was the best we could do. Cutting pension benefits promised to our veterans, including disabled combat veterans. And as I said yesterday, not cutting food stamps, not cutting welfare, not cutting a billion other things. No, cutting this. Some of the people I was watching on television, and I suspect some on radio, I didn't listen to a lot of radio, got it dead wrong. They were blaming the Democrats for this. Well, of course they're in part to blame for this. But the language cutting cost of living increases for the pensions of veterans, including disabled combat veterans, was part of the original bill that Paul Ryan pushed and Boehner forced a vote on within 36 hours, violating his 72-hour rule where, we could actually read the bill. The Republicans were in on this. The House is controlled by the Republicans. The bill that they passed contained this language. It wasn't slipped in there. It was in there.
Now the House GOP is intentionally targeting active duty military for the only cost of living retirement cut in the entire budget deal. Not members of Congress or their staffs, not high-level SES employees, not NPR or Amtrak, but the first and only serious cut is active duty military. I have often been proud to be a GOPer, sometimes embarrassed, but never until today ashamed. And joining me to talk about this is the chairman of the House Budget Committee, Congressman Paul Ryan. Congressman Ryan, I am flabbergasted, shocked, and appalled.
Thank you. Well, let me give you a little backdrop. How about that? First of all, nobody in this country deserves more support. No, not a single person in this country deserves more support from their fellow citizen, from the taxpayer, than our men and women in uniform, than the people who go fight for our freedoms. That savings stays with the Pentagon to help us buy more equipment right now to make sure we can address our readiness issue. And it's delayed for 2 years, that if we think there's a better way to fix this problem, we'll do that, and we bought ourselves 2 years to do that. And that's what this does.
Mr. Chairman, I reject it entirely, and I want to give you a few points to respond to, and I won't take as much time as you did. I want to be fair to you.
Well, I just wanted to give you the full...
I know, I wanted you to, and I want people to be able to hear it, but it will be utterly and totally rejected because they are the first to take the whack. They are the only group to take the whack. Some of these men and women, in the 13 years we have been at war, have been deployed 6, 7, 8 times, have missed dozens of Christmases and birthdays and birth of their child. And the Congress steps up, the House GOP steps up and says, the only group that we are going to force to pay for their own readiness is going to be the active duty military. Because I heard you say very clearly, we need to maintain readiness. So in order to get them the jet fuel they need to fly off the carriers, or the bullets they need to train with, or the camouflage they need to move around with at night, we're going to have to cut their future retirement. This will destroy retention, it will destroy morale, and it is deeply unfair to the American military, which has sacrificed more than anyone else, and you guys put them first, and now you're rushing it through so that the people who are outraged like me cannot get on the phones at 202-225-3121 and encourage that the House Republican caucus absolutely reject this deal. On every level, it is an outrage on what we stand for in the Republican Party
Well,
vis-a-vis the military.
I guess my response would be I supported every one of those 10 military pay increases that we gave the military since 9/11, since we've been at war.
And why the rush, Mr. Chairman? Because I think the reason you guys are rushing it through is that, and this is what really outrages me.
Hugh.
It passed a month ago, and there was such an outrage that many head fakes were given that this would be fixed. In fact, 6 days ago in the Wall Street Journal, a number of Republican senators were quoted as saying this would be fixed. This was sprung on us last night that it wasn't fixed. I told everyone to hold their fire. Paul Ryan would not let this happen.
Yeah, so to that point, okay. But in the meantime, we just freed up $6 billion for readiness.
Mr. Chairman, I have to reject.
Let me just say one more thing.
There are
We have
loans.
this commission.
I get that, but I got to pause. People reject this. You're holding the military hostage. You're saying if you can get your act together in 2 years, we'll put it back. In the meantime, we'll pay for readiness. We have a $17 trillion budget deficit, and you're taking $6 billion from active duty military. It's insane.
Hugh, I think President Obama did that when he cut him by $487 billion.
We have a $17 trillion deficit, debt. Why would the only $6 billion we refuse to borrow be that which we would borrow for the military?
Because I didn't write this bill that's coming to the floor tomorrow, so I can't explain why something is in it or isn't in it. This wasn't a bill that I wrote. This is something that the Appropriations Committee wrote. So
I know that.
I'm not allowed to speak to that because I wasn't in the room, can't answer the question.
Stop it, though. You can vote against it. You, Paul Ryan, can stop this, will you?
No. I believe that it would be a mistake to have more government shutdown.
First of all, it's an idea we got from the defense community because they have big problems with their budget going forward. Just like the domestic budget has an entitlement problem that's eating up the rest of the budget, defense has an entitlement problem that's eating up the rest of their budget because of their pension and their benefits are really exploding in the out years. It's a very mild reform aimed at giving the Pentagon some relief on their budget, and all those savings stay in the Pentagon's budget. We couldn't give the military back as much as they wanted with the sequester relief, so we gave them more relief on this side of their budget to help them with their what we call their top line.
Congressman, I just have to get to ask you, though, because military members want to know why you asked them to take a cut in terms of cost in living increases. You know, the men and women in this country who fight and die for this country want to know why they should not get a cost of living increase like they have in the past.
Well, this is a reform that was asked for us by the defense folks, by DOD and people in the defense community, because this is a part of their budget that is squeezing all the readiness, all the things that they want to buy. So it's a problem that the Pentagon has with their budget, and it's only for young retirees who are in working age. What happens is after you put 20 years in, typically you'll go get another career, and your pension supplements that. So before you're 62, your inflation update won't be as high as after you're 62.
A scathing letter from a veteran going viral. He is angry that the new bipartisan budget deal includes cuts to veterans' retirement benefits. The open letter to House Budget Committee Chairman Paul Ryan reads in part, quote, "You may not know us by name, but we're the people, Congressman, who answered our nation's call, some of us at a very early age, to willingly serve you and others like you so you could safely attend college and pursue your personal ambitions without fear of harm."
Still stinging from that. A day or two later, I did receive an email, and the email was addressed from Congressman Paul Ryan, and it was a fundraiser. And normally I would just hit the delete button and on those types of things, but this one, for whatever reason, I just chose to make a response to him and let him know specifically, and regardless of the party, what everybody that passed this and put that language in there, exactly what they've done. And the impact that they've had on the servicemen and women of the United States. It's a broken trust and not much excuse for it. The fact of the matter is the American warrior has never let down the United States, and we expect the same treatment, and we never will let down the United States. So regardless of what they're talking about as far as fixes go, fixes are wonderful things, but what we're looking at and the support that I have because of the viral letter that's gone all over the place in the last couple days is a complete removal of that language or that provision. A partial fix, which I've heard rumors of, is no fix at all. And anything short of that is an abject failure, and we're not going to stand for it.
Who do you think should be held responsible?
I think anybody that voted yay should be held responsible. Congressman Ryan was on the receiving end of what we call being chiefed And the reason that he was is because he had the audacity, or his name had the audacity, to send me an email, and after he had just gotten done picking my pocket on the budget deal, had his hand out looking for a cash donation. So I blame everyone that voted yay, without exception.